Good evening. Thank you for joining us for the August 14th meeting of the Parks and Community Services Commission. I call this meeting to order at exactly 6 o'clock. Let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, and Vice Chair Wright has volunteered to lead us. Thank you so much, Vice Chair. It's good to see everybody. We haven't been here in a while, right? It's been a few months. Ms. Vitari, would you please do the roll call?
Let the record show we have all members present and we have quorum.
Great, thank you so much. We'll begin tonight's meeting with public comments on anything that's not listed on the agenda. Is there anyone in the chamber who would like to make a public comment? Now is the time. Seeing no public comment, is there anyone online?
We currently have no members on Zoom.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and now we roll into commissioner comments. Why don't we start towards my left, Commissioner Dorn Parker.
Thank you. It seems like we haven't been here for a while. We haven't. So I have really short comments. I'd gone to some of the events, one of which was our famous 4th of July event, and I just want to thank the staff of the city. It's so well run. People just thoroughly enjoy it, and I'm grateful for all the work the city did. I'm going to pass on all the other things because I know everyone else has been there. The only other one was Go Bruins. I appreciate that we're included with the one very, very hot day. So I got a chance to see my Bruins in practice. It's great they're here in the city. So thank you again for all the staff that made that happen. That was really fun. That's it.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Kamala.
It's been a while. Forgot to click on the mic. Just wanted to say thank you to city staff and everyone who put together another great season of concerts in the park. It's a fun time. Worked at the booth one day, and the other day I got to watch my kids dance to all the jams. So they love the 80s. So just thank you for that. And then just thank you to CNCH Audubon. Yesterday they did a presentation at the Fairview Park Steering Committee. Just brought a lot of great attention to all the species and that utilize Fairview Park. And there's also a California Biodiversity Day coming up. I believe it's September 13th. That's a partnership with the city, CCA, and a few organizations. So city will be offering some self-guided tours, so that's going to be exciting.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Ledger.
Yeah, so I was actually wondering if the city could please look into if we have bat boxes and if there's anything stopping us from having them. Just that's something that's very beneficial. And other than that, concerts in the park was great. July 3rd was great. Don't think there's really anything else at this time. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Houston.
Hi, everyone. It's nice to be back. I don't have too much to report, so I'll pass it off.
Commissioner Garcia Arcos.
No comments. Thank you.
And Vice Chair Wright.
Good evening, everyone. Today for my comments, I just wanted to share that I wasn't able to share this letter from a close friend at this week's City Council meeting since the item addressing ICE went on until about 1 a.m. So I just wanted to say that I don't take, my seat here for granted or the fact that I can come and do public comment in this fashion. And so I'm going to read a letter from her and her family. So, dear commissioners, I'm grateful to share my point of view and speak about what we are living through. I choose to remain anonymous not because I'm ashamed, but because sharing my identity can put me at risk. I'm a third-year college student going to college here in Costa Mesa, an immigrant from El Salvador. Like many immigrant families in Costa Mesa, we didn't come here to take or harm. We came because we had no choice. El Salvador was unsafe. We had to leave to protect ourselves and build a better life. Life as an immigrant is hard. Even with limitations, we're safer here than where we came from. We don't ask for privilege, just dignity. Some say immigrants take jobs, but the truth is, it's hard for us to get one. We fight for every opportunity. We don't skip steps. We overcome barriers that many may never have to face. We're a family of 4 living here in Costa Mesa, 2 hardworking parents and 2 kids in school. We're not a threat, we're part of this community. My parents are involved in my little brother's school, and thanks to our family's efforts, I'm now in college working to be a nurse and give back to this country. My little brother has a chronic condition. Here he receives better care and medication, and thanks to our community and relatives, we've created a beautiful home. What I say comes from both love and fear. Our freedom as immigrants has always been limited, but now it feels even smaller. We're scared to go to Hispanic grocery stores, scared to go to work, to school, to live. ICE raids are happening suddenly. They're taking people without warrants or any prior notices. Families who are not a threat live in constant fear that someone they love won't come home. These raids turn everyday life into moments of danger, fear, and uncertainty. So today I ask the city to help us. You have the power to stand with immigrant families. Please make Costa Mesa a stronger sanctuary city. Protect schools and city facilities as safe zones. Support nonprofits and churches that offer rapid response and legal aid. Please educate local businesses on how they can protect workers and customers. Improve outreach in Spanish so that everyone has access to safety alerts and city updates. Notify the public before enforcement actions, and please ban racial profiling. These steps mean everything to us. We are not asking for special treatment. We are asking for safety, dignity, and the chance to thrive. We appreciate all the resources and efforts that the city is doing already, and we love being here and being part of this community. We only want to give back some of the love and welcome that we received when we arrived, always with hard work, kindness, respect, and love. Thank you, Costa Mesa, for helping us build a home here, and please continue to stand with us. Thank you. That's it for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I think it's a really important moment to think about how one can make their voice heard. So for those who are listening to this who might not be here today, I think there are a variety of ways that you can speak to us, and reaching out directly, asking for anonymity. It's always a hard word for me to say. I think there's a variety of ways for us to be here to try and represent those who cannot be here in person. I do not have many comments either. The theme for the night is that I think we had a really successful series of outreach opportunities at Fairview Park. So I want to take a moment and thank city staff for making that happen. And I know Ms. Fatua is not here tonight. Really appreciate all the work that she put in to get us out there. And I also want to thank commissioners for giving even more of your time to go out and attend those concerts. I would put out there again, I think that I brought my daughter with me because I had to, because of various, where we were running, and I actually put her front and center as a way of getting kids to come to the booth. And there's something really magical about having not an adult being the point of outreach. And so seeing the teen, she's a teen girl, being out there and just talking with kids and asking them what they like about the parks was so less artificial. So just something for us to consider in terms of, as we're thinking about outreach, how to get different populations engaged. Involving the youth of Costa Mesa and doing some of that outreach was actually fun and inspiring to see. And it's also just a taste of a very light public service, so putting that out there. Okay, that is it for commissioner comments. We will move to the consent calendar, and I'm going to start, unless I'm incorrect, with any public comment on the consent calendar. Do I do that? No public comment on consent. Consent doesn't get public comment.
No public comment unless you are wishing to pull an item.
Okay. So unless there are any concerns or questions, I will take a motion to receive and file. To approve. I will take a motion to approve. Thank you.
Oh, I have to say it? Okay. I make a motion.
And a second?
I second.
Thank you.
You may vote on your dais. Motion carries 7-0 to approve the consent calendar.
Thank you. Little rusty. It's been a long summer. And I wish it was much longer. We are now moving into the monthly report section. Director Gruner, you are up for the Parks and Community Services Director's update.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Go ahead and pull up the PowerPoint. So this is my Parks and Community Services Department Monthly Director Report, although it's been 2 months. So we're first going to start off with the concerts in the park. All right, there we go. So every Tuesday after July 4th, as you know, we've had a concert in the park. I jumped 2 slides ahead. And so we had Family Style was the first concert, followed by Flashback Heart Attack, and then the Tijuana Dogs. And we closed the month off with the Pacific Symphony. Both were, I mean, all of the concerts were very well attended. From a crowd perspective, it's always hard to kind of gauge how many people are, if it's more than last year or not. But just by taking a visual, it seemed like there was definitely more people participating in the concerts this year, so that was great to see, especially the Pacific Symphony. Last year it was a lower turnout than we expected, but I think this year it definitely picked up quite a bit, so that was really nice to see. Again, the concerts are a collaborative effort between the city and the Costa Mesa Foundation, and I really want to highlight and thank you, commissioners, for all participating, by being out there, being engaged with the community. I think it is very refreshing, and it's something that was, certainly needed for a very long time, just to have that engagement with the community directly. And we're always looking for improvements. We're always looking to make some adjustments, and this is just the beginning. So some of the things that we're looking at is to provide like interactive activities, free giveaways, swag, technology direct engagement with the patrons, whether that's having like an iPad or something like that, where we can take surveys directly, and have that a little bit of a higher level of engagement with the community. Also, we want to conduct maybe some raffles where we can give away maybe like a free park permit, something like that, that would entice people to engage a little bit more, and also provide interactive city maps. I think we had a large map there, and it was actually very useful. A lot of people didn't know where other parks were or where other community centers were, so we're able to point it out. And if we can give that to people directly, I think it's just another benefit to the community. So some other highlights. Yesterday we had the Youth Sports Council, Costa Mesa United. We typically meet once a month on Wednesdays at 7:30 in the morning. The user groups, and if you're not familiar with it, it's basically a meeting with all the different user groups like AYSO or Matt Leinhardt, Flag Football. So all the different user groups that we have here in Costa Mesa and that we work with, we get together with Costa Mesa United, who does a lot of fundraising and support for these organizations and really advocating for field space and so forth. And the school district is there, and it's just a great meeting. It's just a great way to connect and have some talking points and discuss certain things through. So they were very, very appreciative, all the user groups that have been there for a number of years. Some of them have been there for about 30 years almost. And they said when this first started, it was very contentious, and there was a lot of infighting, and things really weren't going in the right direction. But they did say that that the meetings have become so much better, and it's the best it's ever been since the inception. So they gave a lot of credit to not only us but also the school district for really working closely together with the user groups and really providing a great benefit to the community. Summer camps and youth services. So we had a very successful summer program, pretty much on all the non-holiday, which the only holiday we really had was July 4th. All the camps were sold out, so up to 90 kids. We also had like waiting lists for a lot of our camps, so we weren't really able to accommodate everybody, but it's a very successful program, very successful summer for us. Very proud of the team. Actually just came back from our staff meeting with the team that coordinates the different camps and manages them, and made sure to really thank them for all their hard work and efforts and their commitment in providing quality camps to the community here. Also want to highlight real quick regarding golf, the city championship tournament that was held in July had about 320 participants. That's a record for them, according to the operator over there. And they had a very exciting finish. They had 2 college kids who ended up being tied with 8 under par, and they had to go into a playoff. And apparently a student from UC San Diego ended up winning and had a score of 9 under par. So very, very exciting. Great job to them over there. And I do want to provide a quick update. I'm not really going to go into great detail in regards to the tennis center, but the city did receive indirectly a request from a tennis center operator to increase the fees. And we're currently working with the operator to confirm and we really need to do a fee analysis. The fees that are posted, we need to obviously review them and approve them, and the city manager really has that authority in the agreement. So we are working with the operator. We're trying to collaborate with them to get this resolved as quickly as possible. I know there's some concerns out there. The fees are supposed to be going into effect September 1st, so we do have some time, and hopefully this will be resolved rather quickly. So. Just want to share some pictures of some of the summer activities that we've had. Here on the top left, you can see our swim lesson program. There was a dad with his daughter, obviously swimming after the swim lessons. And then next to that, we have the senior center. That's the July 4th barbecue that we had over there. And then it's just some of the kids' camps. The kids having fun and taking some goofy pictures there. And then on the far right, we have the Fairview Park Restoration Volunteer Program, which has been doing excellent. We have quite a few volunteers, and they're really getting a lot of work done over there. I'll get into that a little bit later. Down here, you can see we have our dive-in movie at the pool. You can see the screen in the background, and a lot of kids having fun in there. And then the picture to the right of that, we have the excursions where we go out, with some of our campers, and we go to different places and have some fun. Looks like that was Silk City, and had some fun on some water slides. And also then on the bottom right, you can see the aquarium of the Pacific over in Long Beach. We took the kids up there, and they had a great time up there as well. So just want to share some pictures and present that to you. And speaking of Fairview Park, so the Fairview Park Master Plan, I want to provide a brief update on that. So we are scheduling some council briefings that will go over the master plan draft. And once those have been concluded, we will go ahead and release the master plan draft to the public. And that will kick off our 30-day review process. And then we are looking to have a council session presentation in October, hopefully, if everything goes to plan. And then it will be followed by the adoption. So that is the current schedule in regards to the Fairview Park Master Plan update. And just as I mentioned earlier, the volunteer program over at Fairview Park has been going really well. Fridays we have about 30 volunteers. Saturdays we have 20 plus volunteers. And again, they're just doing really a great job, and we're looking to increase our volunteer base just so we can get more work done, as there is quite a bit of work that needs to be done. But it has been steadily growing, which is very encouraging, and it shows that people are interested and they want to help out, and that's very exciting. All right, and as usual, I will always mention this, the Costa Mesa Senior Center offers senior social services. It's a year-round, no-cost mental health service to seniors ages 50 and older. If you need more information, please visit the Senior Center or go on our website or call us at 714-327-7550. I can't emphasize this enough that it's so important to have a service like this available, and not a lot of cities have it. So I really want to emphasize that it's very unique and it's special, and you know, it's just great that we have this program available to our residents. And just some upcoming events, we have the poet laureate Danielle Hansen is going to be doing a poetry workshop on August 16th. That's this Saturday. And that's going to be at the Mesa Verde Library. It's from 11 to 1. And then that's going to be followed by our Poetry in the Parks. I believe the first park is going to be Fairview Park. And it has various locations, and it's a great program that we're excited to be kicking off to the community. That starts on August 25th. And then on August 22nd, we have our final Teen Dive in movie night, sorry, on Friday, August 22nd, 6:30 to 9:30, and we're going to be featuring Top Gun Maverick. So if you have kids, teenagers, have them come on out. It's for grades 7 to 12. And then, of course, we do have our Art Venture program coming up. It kicks off on September 13th at the Community Art Event. Open reception is going to be over at the Norman Herzog Community Center, and that's from 11 to 3. And then we're having the award ceremony on September 20th, and that's going to be over at ACMA, the Orange County Museum of Art, and that's going to be from 6 to 9 p.m., and the awards will be presented at 7 p.m. And that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Director Gruner. I would like to open up the floor for public comments before I take commissioner comments and questions. Is there anyone in the chambers who would like to make public comment on the director's report? Seeing none, is there anyone online who would like to?
We currently have no members on Zoom.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, comments, questions? I'm going to look towards my right. Okay, give me a minute. Okay. All right, Commissioner Ledger.
Okay, I'm sorry, I kind of have a lot. For starters, okay, so for the senior center, with the proposed federal budget cuts, how is it going to affect the senior center?
We really don't anticipate a whole lot of effect on the senior center. I know there was some concern about Meals on Wheels, but we have been working with Meals on Wheels, and they seem to be structured soundly where it shouldn't really impact any service levels on their end. In addition to, we also did fund $50,000 for their program, so operationally there shouldn't be any change.
What about for the ROCKS program?
Again, I mean, we're not looking, the funding of that is pretty sound, so we have the staffing levels. There's really no grant funding that we're receiving for that particular program, so there shouldn't be any impact on that.
Okay, and as for the tennis costs, I know you said the city is looking into it. I do just want to point out that how important it is for that to be affordable, not just for our lower income residents, but for our teenagers. It's things like that that keep them out of trouble when they could afford to do something like that. If it's $10 for my son and 3 of his friends to go play, it shouldn't then suddenly skyrocket to where it now becomes unaffordable for them. It's something that gives them a sense of independence, and that's what keeps them out of trouble, because they don't feel the need to rebel when they have something like that they could do on their own without having to go to their parents for help. So I just really hope that that is taken care of. And then for the poetry in the parks, I just want to throw out just an idea I had is maybe we could work with the school district and get a bunch of different languages spoken to do poems in different languages for one of them. Not just people that are native speakers, but maybe the ones that are learning Mandarin or Spanish as a second language. So just, it would be something neat to hear a bunch of poetry in different languages. That's it.
That's not a lot. Other commissioners, Commissioner Dorn Parker.
Thank you. Just two things. One is I love that we're looking at concerts in the park as more interactive. I don't know if you saw what a goof I was. They ended up videoing because I am I'm a goof. I love to talk to kids, find out what it is that they want. So we did a game because we wanted to give game. We didn't have a lot of treats for them, so it was like, okay, what's your favorite park? What's your favorite, and it was great. So when they started, because I was the second one there, to have some of the maps, but it was really clear how critical this will be to help inform our residents about the parks, where we are, what community centers are. So I love that you're looking at the interactive. I mean, we didn't have any musical instruments or any electronics. We just said, name your equipment, monkey bars. Monkey bars was huge. Monkey bars and swings is what we found out. The other thing is that I know with the tennis center, once we're now getting started and this operator has had a while, the one thing that I would really encourage is to keep the fees low for residents and keep the fees higher for non-residents. That, we pay a lot of infrastructure and taxes to help support this, and it's not that we don't want others to come in and utilize, but when I was there playing the last 2 times, the 4 of us were local Costa Mesa people, and no one else using our pickleballs were local, and they were paying the same fee. So there may be other ways around where we can help the operator, because I know we had talked a lot about memberships. And so again, memberships for residents is different than memberships for non-residents, because the other cities around here do that. So that would be my only comment. Thank you for the report.
Thank you for that. Vice Chair Wright?
Hello. I'll start off also just praising the affordability of our summer programs. I personally know some families that were driving here from other cities because of our pricing. So I will do everything in my power to continue, telling the mayor and city council that this is, I think, affordability of summer programming is critical, and of the LEAP program as well. So I'm really glad that we offer that and hope that that can always be prioritized in our budget. I also, one of my friend's kids works in the rec department, and she had talked to me about the declining turnout due to the ice raids. So I was just curious, how did we handle that? Were we able to react quickly and reach out to families, or what do you guys think about that as far as how we could handle situations like that?
Well, we haven't really seen any reduction in regards to our programming or the attendance of our programming. So our numbers have been pretty steady. So we haven't quite seen or experienced a drop in attendance or registrations for the after-school programming. We can certainly look into that a little bit further and keep an eye out for that. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, that was anecdotal, but it was my friend's daughter is a teenager who works in I think the ROCKS program. It must be that, right? And she had said that it was a really small fraction of kids that were showing up, maybe when it was at the height of the raids. But unfortunately, those might be, increasing. So maybe it's good to start thinking about how we could do some personal outreach or partner with the school district, if that's something we're interested in doing. Okay, also, I talked to Neat Coffee about how they submitted their bid for the library coffee shop. So I'm curious. Did you guys know that I heard from them we're only charging $1 for renting the coffee shop? No? Monique, I see your face. Is this a faulty source of information?
I don't want to discredit your source, but the RFP for the cafe services was released, but we had to pull back on it and change some things in the scope, and it hasn't been re-released yet. So no bidders yet. So it should be being re-released within the next 2 weeks, I would assume. So we are going to do some outreach to a lot of coffee shops, and I have some staff that are going to be specifically going to some of these coffee shops to let them know how to register on Planet Bids for it. And I specifically said make sure you go to Neat Coffee. So so no bidders yet, but it will be released soon.
So we put it out there, but then we pulled it back?
Yeah, so we had to, because we're still going through the permitting process, and Rob might have some more information in his report about it, but we are still finalizing some permitting process for that cafe around. So we wanted to make sure we have everything in place and that coffee shop's ready to go for somebody to move into. So we pulled back on it and changed a little things in the scope for that, and then we'll be re-releasing it to make sure that it's on par with what we're going to present and do some walkthroughs with some potential bidders.
That's awesome. Do you know if we're gonna allow them to do food as well, or only like prepackaged food?
So that will
shelf
be,
stable.
that would be on the prospective bidder, and they will be required to, all the permits and county health permits and everything like that will be put on them. So it will be determining, but there is no cooking facilities. It's more of catering, warming. So prepackaged is probably mostly what we'll see.
Cool. So what about this $1 rent? Do you know anything? Is that totally not real?
Yeah, I don't know where that's coming from. So,
Interesting.
yeah.
Interesting. Okay, thanks. I'm glad we're gonna be intentional about reaching out to them. Seems they think that they applied. Okay, and then I want to know more about the Fairview Master Plan timing and process. Is there, one, is the Fairview Steering Committee going to see it? And two, are we going to see it before City Council or after City Council, I guess? Feels kind of like counterintuitive, but I want to know what you're thinking there.
In regards to the release of the master plan draft?
Yeah, and the feedback process and the
Yeah,
order
so
of
basically,
the entities.
we do want to, so the steering committee has been working on this for a couple of years, and obviously their input is included in the draft master plan. So once we gathered all the information, all the data, we did the analysis and the biological surveying and all that, the consultant that we're working with is putting together basically it's a 116-page book with various chapters and elements of the Fairview Park Master Plan, and that's the draft. And so we want to, and we just actually finished the first version of it, so to speak, and we just received it yesterday, the actual book itself. So now we're ready to go ahead and have that discussion, that briefing with the council, and kind of go through the master plan draft with them, and then obtain their feedback. And then once that is complete, then we will release it to the public, and at that time, it's going to be available to everybody. And then we'll have a 30-day review period where people can review it, analyze it. It will be brought back to council for discussion and further input from the community, also having a discussion and dialogue with the consultant, the biologists, as well as the council, obviously making some recommendations to any changes. And then once that is complete, then it would come back to council. Once the changes are complete, then it would come back to council for adoption.
Okay, so do you have a rough idea of the date of the public release?
We're trying to schedule the briefings hopefully within the next couple of weeks. So the draft should come out right after that. So hopefully within 3 weeks, we can get something out to the public.
And then obviously we're all members of the public, so we'd have access to that. And I'm assuming since we have monthly meetings, we'd have a meeting within the 30-day period that it's released to the public. So I want to push that we would agendize seeing or at least discussing it since we are the Parks Commission. I don't mind reading, a 100-page document, and to kind of point to our capital improvement principles and value workshop. The whole point of that project was that we want to kind of share our feedback to things to council before, in a manner that's most conducive to them and the timing of the decisions they're making. So I just want to put that out there, that I think that makes a lot of sense, and open to whatever else you guys think in regards to the master plan. But that seems like pretty logical to me.
And during the briefings, if I just may add, we're going to hopefully get that direction from the council, and we'll follow suit accordingly.
Sure. If we need to, I can ask. I'm happy to make that comment to council too. Okay, that's it, I think.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I'm actually going to continue on that topic and say I'm very concerned hearing about the process of this master plan and the way in which PACS has not been built in any formal capacity. We are assumed to be members of the public, as we are, and can respond to it as members of the public. But you have a commission of people who work on parks, and you have the largest park in Costa Mesa, and no process for your governing body on parks to weigh in. This is a major oversight in terms of process. I'm very, very concerned to hear this. And I think I'm a little disappointed. This is something that I raised a few months ago around this very topic. Waiting to hear from council about what they would like is one strategy. But again and again, we've been talking about how we need to update the process so that PACS as a commission can weigh in so that city council can be better informed. So I'm concerned about that. I think there are a couple of ways that we could remedy it. One would be that perhaps it's time for a joint session to have council and PACS together so that you have us all in the same room and there's not a duplication of staff effort. That would be one. Another would be to build in a representation or an analysis for PACS so that we could have our own stab at it. I'm concerned about doing that and not having our ability to weigh in such a way so that it's helpful for City Council. I'd like to be of help to City Council. That's why I'm up here. So as we're thinking about what would make the most sense, whatever we can do to provide the most impact would be the way to go. But I'm very concerned about what I've just heard. I think it's a major oversight. So putting that out there, I think it's also a way of signaling to people that public input matters and that the experts or the people who are at least invested, if we're not experts, we're very invested, we are engaged in a thoughtful, meaningful, and purposeful way. And it doesn't feel purposeful right now. And if I were ungenerous, I would feel as though I'm being excluded, right? And I don't think that's what's happening, but that would be a fair way of reading it. So I would like to follow up on this, and I would encourage other commissioners up here, if you have thoughts about it, I'm happy to open it up. If others want to weigh in before I continue with my comments, Commissioner Hewson.
Yeah, thanks. Maybe at the very least, I don't know if we can do this by motion, but to agendize that for if it's going to be next time or whatever that period is, to at least just discuss it. Maybe that's one way that we could just get it on the agenda. I know in looking at it, we were able to set our own agenda, so possibly I could make a motion to have that be an agenda item on our next meeting.
Other thoughts, questions? Commissioner Dorn Parker.
Actually, I believe your initial thoughts is on to something bigger. What would really help, I think, us, City Council, and truthfully the steering committee, where they have devoted a lot of hyper time. I know that they're not technically a commission, but it would be really good if we all were in the same presentation meeting to hear with all of our same ears. It can be a Brown Act agendized so we can talk about it. But I think if the three groups, because we're all appointed by the City Council, but they rely on us to go a little bit more in the detail, I think that would really help all of us feel more empowered in the work we've been doing. And there's a lot of time many of us on the commission have been devoting to understanding, not just now, but I know some of you have been involved for 10 years and longer, and the steering committee has been doing this. So I don't know, as part of your plan, is if we can put together, and I know it might mean that the steering committee and us may have to meet on a day that we normally don't, but I think it would be very helpful if we had a joint, and I'm talking about just a study session, so the presentation is presented, everyone who's been in the middle of this, because we've been asked, because we've been appointed to be in the middle, are now heard collectively. I believe the more we put the different of these bodies together, hearing the presentation at the same time with our ears, and then that way we can understand what our concerns were, or how excitement is. I really believe that would go a long way to recognize and respect this huge amount of work that not just the staff has undertaken and the consultant and our taxpayer money, but also all the people that have been asked for their opinion, and it's part of this. So that's my personal belief, and I also don't think Commissioner Houston is wrong, just to make sure it formally gets on the agenda so that we have, so we have some information. But I selfishly love that concept, and it would really help me do my job much better. And I think the public would love to hear from the three bodies together that have been doing this.
So I'm hearing both potentially a motion to agendize this so that should we need to cover it in our own meeting, we would have it on the agenda, but definitely a push, and this is something that I think you'll need to check in with others about, I recognize that, to have a potential joint, not to have a potential, to have a joint study session with City Council, with the committee, as it makes sense. That's what I'm hearing. So if there are any other thoughts, questions, otherwise, Commissioner Houston, do you want to make your motion?
Yeah, I'm happy to make the motion. And Director Gruner, maybe we can you tell me a little bit about the process, I'll say, for a study session? Because honestly, I don't actually even really know what that term means. So maybe just take me from the top down of what a study session is. And I mean, do commissions get involved in that? And I mean, really just kind of laying out the structure for me, because I don't even actually know what that is.
Yeah, so that's a great question. So from time to time, the council will have study sessions on certain topics, and it's really informational based and getting community input without taking any action. So it's more an informational gathering, kind of brainstorming, getting the public's input, getting staff's input, and then just trying to get a better understanding of the topic. So in this case, would be Fairview Park, the master plan. I mean, we can certainly take a look and check with the clerk and kind of see how we go about doing that. I don't think you guys have to take a vote. I mean, the consensus, we can see the consensus, and we'll go ahead and put something on the agenda for the next meeting. And we'll, further discuss that in our agenda prep meetings.
Commissioner Houston, you're still free to make a motion should you want to.
Someone else can jump in if I'm wrong. I think the consensus was that it is going to be agendized without a motion, but maybe I was misreading that. As long as it gets on the agenda, I don't think a motion would be necessary. Just happy to get it on the agenda and maybe circle back on that.
Okay, so I'll say, I think there is a strong preference for a joint study session. I really appreciate how it just minimizes the repetition of labor for staff. I think that's important. Should that fail, we would like to agendize it for next month. Thank you. Okay, continuing with my response to director's report. Thank you so much for the report. One thing about the Fairview Park concerts in the park, I do think swag can be a really powerful motivator to engage with people. As those of us in the subcommittee are working on the principles and values, things around sustainability are very much a part of it. And I will say one of the hardest things to see is when swag ends up in the trash. And so I would strongly urge us, for financial and ecological reasons, to really be purposeful about what we want that swag to be, and think creatively so that there's less landfill. Just putting that out there, because I know the principles and values will speak to that. I have an idea for the Poet Laureate scavenger hunt. Would love to see a digital scavenger hunt on social media. Like wondering how the in-person scavenger hunt, which sounds like a really great idea, could be reproduced differently on Instagram as a way of talking to people about poetry on Instagram, but also trying to highlight how cool this is. So should there be a next time? And that requires a little bit of finessing, but I think Danielle may find that of interest. So just an idea for social media. And lastly, as a request, Could city staff please give commissioners a heads up when the RFP goes out for the Lions Park Cafe, just so that we're in the know? I'll admit it's been a really busy period and there's a lot going on in the city. I'm not quite sure how you guys are managing this all. But if you could just give us a heads up, it just puts it on our radar and I'd appreciate that. Okay, I think that's it for the director's update. Mr. Ryan, Public Works Maintenance Services update.
Yes, thank you. So this is an update that we're bringing back. We've done in the past, and it's just kind of fallen away, but I appreciate the opportunity to take a few minutes to highlight exactly what the team is doing out there, the Maintenance Services Division, working hard in our parks. I think we mentioned it's been a couple months. So there's a lot of slides. I'll try to get through them quickly. Most of them are photos, but I really appreciate the opportunity. So just starting out with an overview of Maintenance Services Division. So we have 7 full-time staff that's responsible for overseeing the contract for the maintenance of over 226 acres of landscape, which includes parks, playgrounds, sports fields. We do field preps for those fields, renovations, which I'll talk a little bit more about later, landscaping and irrigation around city facilities, bike trails, we have the lake system, skate park, and the sports courts, and then, of course, the parkways and medians. We also maintain and manage the city's urban forest, so we're nearly 24,000 trees. We provide support really to landscape irrigation and playgrounds for all capital improvement projects and special events. Some of the special events that we assist with, Snoopy event, concerts in the park, Love Costa Mesa Day, Arbor Day. We maintain our Tree City USA status. We're very proud of that. Earth Day, and then of course we assist in hosting of special training camps. Some of the pro teams that we've had in the past at Jack Hammond, and of course this year UCLA over at Jack Hammond, which is a huge, I think, a kudos to the city that we've attracted those types of teams that come in and utilize our fields. We'll start with some capital improvement project updates, and these are ones that were completed in the last couple months. Of course, I just wanted to highlight the T-Winkle Athletic Complex batting cages. I thought those were great, well executed. Appreciate all the help from Ms. Villasenor and her team, and kind of helping us with design and making some choices on what they should look like and some of the materials that we use there. But that was fantastic. Next was the Balearic Center asphalt project, and our city engineer, Mr. Young, helped us get a fresh coat of asphalt out there. We were able to paint on a couple of just fantastic looking basketball courts. Again, thanks to Ms. Villasenor, who drove home the color scheme there, and it looks fantastic. I had a hard time envisioning it once they came out. It just looks great. Of course, we were able to add 2 full-size pickleball courts, sans the netting, which I think was a great example of the community outreach we conducted. There's some residents had concerns about having full-time pickleball courts out there. The meeting was done in a way that just naturally coalesced around the group of residents saying, yeah, you know what, we recognize the need for pickleball courts in the city. We're a little concerned about creating a lot of traffic there, so maybe we can have people bring their own nets. It was just really a natural occurrence that really wasn't pushed, I think, by anyone in the room, but it was just that back and forth from the community. It was really nice to see and kind of be a small part of. A couple other court resurfacing projects over this last couple months. Schiffer Park basketball and handball courts got resurfaced, and then a little half court at Wimbledon Park got resurfaced. They seal up all the cracks and make sure they're safe for play. Sports field renovations. So every year, Maintenance Services Division conducts annual renovation of the city's 32 acres of sports fields. That includes Balearic Soccer Fields, Jack Hammond Sports Complex, the Luke C. Davis Fields. It's a combination of baseball, softball, and outfield that can be used for soccer fields, and the T-Winkle Athletic Complex. So the annual renovations of the sports fields are critical in maintaining the safety and playability and quality of all the city fields. So the renovation of the turf includes some phrase mowing. We do aeration, top dressing, And then we add new sods, so sections of turf that are heavily worn and beyond growing back will be removed and replaced with new sod. And then the new sod's obviously hand watered and monitored for several weeks after, just to make sure it fills in and does well. And there's some examples of the results that we're able to obtain with to be able to start the new season with just a fresh, beautiful looking field for the kids, and they seem to really appreciate it, and the grown-ups as well. We also take the opportunity to do some infield renovations, especially at T-Winkle Athletic Complex and at Davis Field. So the warning track areas are receive infield mix to replenish any material lost during the winter rainy season. The batter boxes and pitching mound areas are dug out and rebuilt. Batter's boxes you can see in the bottom left picture and that home plate area completely dug out. And we dig out about 30% of the pitcher's mound just to rebuild that and make that a brand new solid surface, which helps last throughout the season, which is great. And then after the material is added back in, the fields are laser leveled. They get new pitching rubbers and home plates, and then new bases are installed just before the start of the season. So again, just that little touches. Everything's new and fresh and ready for use. This year at Davis Field, we took the opportunity to go a little extra mile. We removed the entire infield turf and resodded it. It was getting pretty worn. It's getting used a lot. And so we took the opportunity just to redo that whole infield. You can see the crews, the removal, the relaying of the sod. And then here's a before on the left and an after on the right. So just a great result there from the team, and it looks good, and it's going to be ready for the kids to play on. And I think the outfield looks equally as good as that infield, so we're really excited about that. Special projects. So throughout the year, we're doing special projects. These are just special projects within the last couple of months. So I focused on June and July. This is the one exception, Canyon Park Playground, where we replaced a couple of decks here, and you can see the before and after picture. This is the actual replacement of the decking is done by city staff in-house. We purchase the parts and the equipment. They install it, and then typically we'll have to call a contractor come in and replace any of the rubberized surface and backfill those holes. You can kind of see the circles in the area where they just got done backfilling the holes in where the posts go down for those decks. Del Mesa Park. I think I forgot to mention this Canyon Park was a result of an annual park inspection. So staff went out there and addressed those issues. Del Mesa Park, again, staff working on a deck replacement there. I think this was a combination of park inspection and staff just observing some issues out there. Some of the things we do are a little bit more cosmetic, but I think they add to the park. So again, this is at Del Mesa Park where you can kind of see the before and after. The before, obviously, that top row of pictures, and the bottom row. Some of these are refurbished, where they just heat those panels up, sand them down, clean them up, get them that new color. Some of them are replacements. The ones on the far right are actually replacements. But I think it makes a big difference when the kids show up to play and the parents show up to play. It gives it that pop that it used to have. And again, I think we talked about, most of our parks were installed in the mid to late 90s. So Lions Park. So we had an issue with the crack slide that we replaced. And then we received a request from a resident to add a belt swing seat. And so we replaced, we had two of the swings that are the one on the left, and found an issue that some of the smaller kids were kind of sliding down that big swing. And so we added a belt swing as a result of a request from a resident. I think that's been nice. Moon Park, again, this was, we had some resident concerns about Moon Park. So it was a combination of some resident concerns and some things that were highlighted. They're a little bit more aesthetic from the safety report we received, but we did remove some rust. We patched and painted those rusted areas. We filled some gaps with epoxy sealing, installed and attached new hardware, removed black marks from the slide. We tilled and redistributed the sand, and we also conducted an attenuation testing on all the surfacing, including the sand surface, because there were some concerns about the impact quality of the surfacing. And so that was a concern that the resident made. So we made sure that we had hired an outside company to come in and do just a study and found that everything was within range and safe for play. So it's just a little added comfort there, just knowing that.
What is attenuation? What does that mean?
It's a study of the impact absorption to make sure that surface is pliable enough that if a child were to fall, the impact would be absorbed and minimize anybody getting hurt. Sure, absolutely. And again, all this work is done in-house with city staff. Wilson Park, again, we received a call from a resident concerned about the condition on Wilson Park. So we responded and made a number of repairs there, refurbished several activity panels and a slide. You can kind of see the before again on top and the after on the bottom. These panels were mainly refurbished. I don't think we purchased any new panels. I think the slide was redone by staff in-house. So some cost savings there. And we're looking at doing some additional work at Wilson Park early this coming fiscal year, so the next month or so. Some additional parts have been ordered. And then we had a few other things at Valeric Park, replaced a wire crawl tunnel, replaced a couple of handhold panels and some things at Valeric Center as well, some belt swings that we replaced. And those were due to, some were due to the yearly inspections, and others were just staff observation that some of the warning labels need to be replaced and things of that nature. Next is the City Hall Japanese Garden. So this is one I just thought would be really interesting. So every year we have a volunteer group. It's the Ueki Art Tree Trimming Club. They come out on an annual basis to trim our trees in our Japanese garden out in front of City Hall. So it's a nonprofit club. It was created in 1978. They provide the service annually. They keep the tradition of Japanese ueki trimming alive and educate the community. So ueki, meaning planted trees style, is a Japanese arboricultural process of trimming and shaping in-ground landscape trees into beautiful works of art. So according to the group, having the long-term plan and visualizing the growth of the tree will determine how the trimming will be implemented. It takes time, patience, and love of the garden to produce artful ueki trees. So we're always happy to welcome them into the City of the Arts and have them, this volunteer group, come in and do this work. About 6 to 8 volunteers usually. We provide some support with removing the clippings, providing access to restrooms, and some of the other labor that's non-art focused on the trimming part. So that's their wheelhouse. And then I just want to share that this is more last fiscal year, but over the last year, the city planted 268 trees, 80 trees to fulfill requests from residents in front of their homes, 60 trees on Arbor Day, and then 112 trees at various locations, including parks, medians, bike trails, and facilities. 16 trees were planted to replace trees that were removed illegally. Those are counted. So it's a 3-to-1 replacement ratio. So we planted 16 in front of the homes, and the other trees were included in that 112 number. Just a few more things. We have nearly completed our tree canopy assessment. So we received that. We're hoping to make a presentation to the commission at the September meeting. Just trying to finalize some points and get some data and kind of strategize on what that looks like and a plan to move forward. And then lastly, we're about halfway through our park playground assessment. So I don't have a time frame yet on that. We anticipate maybe a couple months, maybe another month or month and a half to gather more information, finish up the parks, a little bit of back and forth between the consultant and the city, and then so hopefully presenting something maybe in October would be our goal. Don't hold me to that, but that's the goal. So that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have, and I appreciate the opportunity to share this with you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ryan. I'd like to open it up first to public comment, if there's any public comment in the chambers. Seeing no public comment, is there anyone online?
We currently have no members on Zoom.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner comments, questions? Yes, Commissioner Ledger.
When you say trees are removed illegally, is this from the parks or on the street in front of somebody's house and they assume it's their tree?
Yeah, so I should have clarified that. Yes, it's generally from a resident that assumes that the parkway tree in front of their house belongs to them, when in fact that parkway does belong to the city, the trees belong to the city. The homeowner's responsible to maintain the landscape and the tree, or not the tree, but they're required to water the tree and maintain the landscape.
Thank you.
Other commissioner comments, questions? Yes, Commissioner Kamala.
Just a question, bringing up the trees. I know when we did the outreach at Brentwood, there were several residents were talking about the trees on Brentwood that were overhanging. Do you know if that's going to be, I guess, part of the canopy assessment, or were we able to go in there and kind of lean down some of the trees that they were concerned about?
So you're talking about the trees that are actually in the park, along the side of the park?
Yeah, the ones right on Brentwood that they said they saw limbs kind of falling and whatnot.
Yes. So that's not necessarily part of the tree canopy assessment. That the tree canopy assessment is more basically assessing mostly just the canopy coverage over the entire city. However, we've had several limb failures at Brentwood Park and a couple of whole tree failures over the last year or two. So we've had several arborists out there examining those trees on a regular basis. West Coast arborists are contractor as well as our own city arborists, just kind of watching those trees.
Commissioner Houston.
Yeah, just briefly. I have 2 kids, and so we spend a lot of time at parks, and so I didn't think I would actually enjoy a maintenance update so much, but I love the photos, and I actually really love the presentation too, so thanks for that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. In maintenance, we're usually not very good at highlighting what we do because we look at it as that's just what we do. And so even getting my staff to say, hey, what are you guys doing that we can share in our Snapchats and share with the public, just by nature, we're just not good at it because we look at that as our job, and that's what we do every day. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. Before and after was great. Thank you.
Commissioner Dorn Parker.
Just a couple things is, so I just want to confirm you're in the middle of the playground assessment, because I know we had talked about that because so much of the playground equipment is from the 90s. I'm still trying to historically try to figure out, do we know what happened in the city where they must have been given millions of dollars to put these playgrounds in from the one company they all seem to have been manufactured by, which means the downside, it means that they got all these new park equipment, but the downside is it all falls apart at the same time. So is that part of, because we had brought that up, that's just part of what you're doing, because that really gets us to have an understanding of what you can do on these smaller repairs that don't take tremendous amount of thought or resources, but you can quickly repair them. And then which ones you really need to then put on the list for really capital improvements to really make those significant changes.
Yes, I think the goal of the playground assessment is to prioritize mainly for the capital improvement, the complete replacement. We do have a variety of playground manufacturers in our park, so it's not just one.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm being very facetious here, but it just...
We assume there must have been a grant. But yeah, that's the idea, is that will prioritize mainly for the capital improvement projects. We rely strongly on our annual inspections by the certified playground inspector, as well as our own staff. And then, of course, input from the public we always appreciate that.
And if I think about the public, I'm going to do another pitch for the 311 app. Is that really, because we need everybody's eyes and ears. I know there's no one on Zoom, but it's really important that we go around and show people how to use that 311 app, because it's significant in helping the city maintain not just the parks, but when there's potholes in streets. So I want to say that. Now, the other question, which I know we had talked about before, is one of the unrecognized processes you and your team do is when we have residents who have issues with trees, they want them trimmed or removed. And I know when I began on the commission, I had no idea how much you interact with the public, because we have so many trees in the city, which is, we're supposed to be the tree city along with the music along with the arts and everything. So I'm hoping in the future, it's not too much trouble, but you kind of come to us just with a data set. You receive, 2,000 calls or emails or 311 about trees. This many are in front of people's houses because it takes a lot of your effort and time to work with individual residents, that have a tree issue. What we see is just the ones that haven't been resolved to what people want. So I don't know if that's okay with the director, but I think that would really help us to get a handle on what it is that you all do. Because trees, this many trees, and especially like what you identified is many of our residents don't understand the tree in front of their house is not their tree. It's really the city's tree. So that I'm just going to throw that out there. That would be great.
So we receive about 1,500 calls a year, tree-related calls only.
1,500.
1,500. So we have one staff person, and he receives on average about 5 calls a day that he responds to, and they vary from just simple. I'd like to have my tree trimmed. I want it, I want to have it evaluated. To we want it removed or a planted tree. So it's about on average about 1,500, 13 to 1,500 calls per year.
Okay. Thank you. I know, amazing how seamless you do this. So thank you and your team. Thank you. That's all I have.
Vice Chair White?
How does it feel to run the best department in the city? Answer honestly.
I am fortunate to have a great staff, a great team, and work closely on everything with the recreation team. And of course, I got to show some love to Mr. Young in the back as well. So all these things, I get to get up here and talk about them, but there's so much help and so much support that it's great. It's an honor to be a part of. So thank you for that.
Humble answer from the humble Public Works Department. Yeah. My favorite update in the city email that we get every week too. So no offense to everybody else. Okay, my feedback. Luke Davis looks amazing. So I did see that and it looks gorgeous. Thank you for the anonymity, guys. The resident that requested the bucket swing for the babies at Lions Park, that was me. And it's super popular, okay? I'm like a creeper in the bushes, like taking pictures of little babies in them. Every time I'm there, it's being used. So I don't know if you guys know, we have like the little tot lot there, and there's a bunch of toddlers there all the time. So I'm really glad that we got that put in. Something you didn't mention is all the crosswalks that you guys put in. Can you talk about that? I feel like they're everywhere and they're gorgeous.
So I focused on, so the Maintenance Service Division has 2 sections, and one is our streets and traffic operations section, but I focused on our park and landscape maintenance section. But yes, we do have an amazing team on that side that does some amazing work, and we do refresh crosswalks on an annual basis, focusing on ones around schools, school crossings prior to the beginning of the school year. So that's something we focus on an annual basis. But thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah, those look so good. I did want to comment, and I know that we use I assume we use a third-party provider for the 311 app, but it loads really slowly. So I just wanted to get that on everybody's radar, if we could maybe touch base with the provider or something, because unfortunately, I don't even have the patience, and I really care about potholes and stuff. So I'm sure normal people also don't care about the wait time. Okay, I know that the housing project near Shiver Park got approved. Can you talk a little bit about how those park enhancements how that partnership is gonna work out with the park improvements that they're contributing to? Is that happening?
So that's going to be a phase 2, and I think there's still some discussion about what that looks like. So we're moving forward with the original project in the existing space. We're going to be setting up some opportunities for utilities and things like that to reach across during that project, just so when phase 2 kicks in, we're ready to go. But there's still a little bit of discussion about what phase 2 will look like. I would imagine there'll be some outreach and some communication about what the community needs are for that particular piece of land.
Cool, yeah. I just think that's a really interesting approach, especially as we're going to be having a lot more housing developed in the city, or Fairview Development Center as well. So wanted to get that on everyone's radar that is happening. Can you talk a little bit about how it works to request trees? Can you request trees in front of somebody else's house, not your own house?
No, you cannot. The resident that owns that property is responsible for the watering of the tree. Excuse me, they're responsible for the landscaping in that parkway. So no, we require that it be the resident or even in some cases the property owner approves that tree to be in front of that parkway.
Okay, that's interesting. So how could I request a tree on a non-residential street? Do we have a process for that? Say a commercial street or a busy corridor?
You could absolutely reach out and contact the Maintenance Services Division, send me an email, and we'd be happy to look at that as long as it makes sense, as long as it's appropriate. Our biggest concern is that a lot of these areas don't have regular irrigation, which makes it really difficult to establish a tree. It's not impossible, but we just want to make sure that it's a good fit. And, honestly, with this tree canopy assessment, we'll be looking at opportunities and to expand that area and where those opportunities lie. So that may open up other doors in the future and other projects. I know that when we do our roadway projects, Placentia Avenue was a big one where we looked at opportunities to create more tree wells and cutouts and add trees to that corridor within that project. So that was a really nice opportunity. We all walked it and just said, hey, if a tree would work here, let's do a concrete cutout and put it in there. So it just depends, but we'd be happy to look at any opportunity to plant a tree. If you have a suggestion, we'd definitely look at it.
Yeah, that actually ties to my next question. So what are the sort of results or conclusions that you're looking to glean from the tree canopy assessment?
So first it was just get a baseline to see where we're at. Like what's our assessment look like? Like what's our tree canopy look like right now? We got some really positive feedback that I'm excited to share with you. I don't want to spoiler alert, but so it's a really positive feedback. So the goal was to set a baseline, to look for opportunities where the canopy is less dense, and to focus on those areas for new plantings, to perhaps focus on, get a focus on the maintenance of the existing canopy, and then maybe look at these things every 3 years or so when they come out with the new maps and just see how we're growing our canopy. But the focus initially is to get that baseline, see how we're doing, and then to come up with a strategy of where we really need to add trees, where we're good, but we need to have, make sure we have strong protections in place, strong maintenance programs for the existing canopy. So I think that's the goal right now.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I guess what comes to mind for me, and I know we talked about in the past, was like overlaying that canopy assessment with the pedestrian master plan, like sort of projecting where we have already identified has successful, basically high use with pedestrians, and what we know we want to invest in the long run, and just kind of get ahead of it and start planting more trees there. Or also what came to mind was looking at that like 5-year CIP for streets that we want to slow down traffic. And why don't we overlay that also with the tree canopy? Because we know when we plant trees for drivers, that feeling of containment slows them down. So if we're already going to put speed bumps or stop signs, might as well put trees. And then obviously we know where we want people to walk. We want them to have shade too. And like the two streets that come to mind for me personally is I think 17th needs a lot more trees. It's actually kind of sad when you look at 17th, because in your mind you have this beautiful street with amazing restaurants, but then when you look at it, it's actually kind of drabby. So sorry to my neighborhood. And then I also am thinking about the 18th Street slowing down, how we're planning on East 18th. I saw that on the CIP is we're planning on slowing down that street. And that street could also use more trees, but it is mostly high density residential. So I'm sure it's some like mega landlord that owns that entire street. So I don't know if we could partner with them on getting more trees planted there as well. But that's some things I'm hoping we could be even like innovative with because we put all this money into all these plans. So all that to say, I've shown my biases. Thank you so much for the presentation. It's really, really great work that you guys are doing. And I look forward to hearing about all the playground assessment and the tree canopy presentation.
Any other commissioner comments or questions? Commissioner Garcia Arcos.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. I'm kind of curious, how much, like, what does the budget look like to plant one, let's say 24-inch crepe myrtle or just an average tree?
I want to say it's about the cost is about $300 to $500 to plant a 24-inch box tree, roughly. I don't have that exact in front of me, but that's roughly what it costs. Our trees, 24-inch box trees, about $250, and the labor to plant is pretty minimal when you have a crew that's there doing the work.
Okay, yeah, because I'm very concerned about these trees that I've been looking at for the past, I want to say, 8 months or so, by OC Pickleball Club. There's 20 crepe myrtles that are not being watered, and that adds up to $10,000 on average if it's $500 per tree. And that is just one of many. And I'm kind of curious to see if there's any communication with any existing irrigation or owners. I'm not sure who would be the owner. I think it's an elementary school, right? So is there any conversations with the principal or someone that can take initiative to add irrigation in that location?
So I think we had an initial discussion. I think the city went ahead and installed those trees. And we're aware of the struggle with those right now. We're trying to increase, we do have a water truck that goes around and waters trees without irrigation, but this is one of the reasons why we try to focus on areas that already have existing irrigation. I'm aware of the location and aware of that struggle and as concerned, if not as you are with those trees in particular.
Yeah, that's good news that you're aware of those locations. I also, let me pull up the report. Yeah, you mentioned that you guys planted all these 268 trees. Of those trees, how many are successfully thriving in this? Like, I know you can't really tell after a year, but how many on average survive from the trees that you plant?
That's an interesting question. I feel like it's pretty successful, but again, it's hard to measure that over. The first 3 years are pretty critical, so it's hard to go back and really measure that. I don't see us replacing a lot of trees that just were planted, but that doesn't mean that there's not an issue with them a few years down the road. So I'll have to look at a way to try to grab that information. We look at it more of a case-by-case basis, like why did this tree fail? What went wrong here, and what do we do before we put another tree back in there to correct that issue? So it's something we're not currently tracking.
Yeah, and thank you for answering that. Another question, now that you brought up that you're currently watering trees without irrigation, how frequent are you watering those trees?
It depends on the type of tree. We've done a couple of different applications for watering. We've tried some tree watering bags. Some of our new installs that seem to be working in some of these locations really well, as long as they're not vandalized or there's no issue, they're not damaged. So those are just refilled as needed. And for the newer trees, it's depending on the weather, type of tree, where the trees are planted. It could be every 2 weeks of deep watering or every week. Just depends on the type of tree. And Then once they get established, obviously less so.
Yeah, that's personally, I feel like that's concerning. Every 2 weeks for a newly planted tree, even if it's drought tolerant, might be very minimal. And I've seen on 19th Street, if you walk through there, I've seen a lot of stress trees that were previously planted recently. If is the 311 app, can you? I've tried this where I requested them to water a specific tree, and I put the location. I sent a picture. Is that going through, and are they following up with it? Because I didn't get a follow-up meeting for those specific requests.
So a couple of things. The newly planted trees are more on a weekly basis. So if you're talking like newly planted versus 3 years out, that would be more on a weekly basis. We still consider the 3 years out more of a newly planted, a young tree. So like I said, as it ages, it gets a little less frequent. It depends on the site. Regarding the 311 question, those I don't see those. They don't come to my desk. They would go to the city arborist. But it is an appropriate avenue to make those requests and share those concerns. As far as feedback, there's a couple of buttons. There's a button you need to click to make sure that you're requesting a response. And then I think we had an issue a while back with the system that there was one more step to make sure that our response back to the requester was going through. So there has been some disconnect, probably on both ends with different users. But if you are concerned about an issue, you can always feel free to reach out to myself directly. We have our maintenance services number, which is 754-5123. That's our maintenance services desk, and we can get those to the appropriate person. But I think that answered your question. I hope that answered your question.
Okay. Did. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for this really great report. I really enjoy seeing the before and afters. Do I need to make a motion to receive and file, or okay. So we're going to move from monthly reports into old business, and old business item number 1 is the Park Capital Improvements Principle and Values Workshop update. And before I hand it over to Commissioner Ledger, just a reminder that this agenda item relates to the development of a series of principles and values that the Commission has been working on for the past few months. Today, we have an update on the work of the subcommittee. Commissioner Ledger will give that update on behalf of the subcommittee and also talk to us about next steps. Commissioner Ledger.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so over the last couple months, we have met 3 times, and we've been making steady progress at each meeting. At the very first meeting, we each took on a specific research assignment. Commissioner Brown has been exploring public engagement for cultural framework. Commissioner Garcia Arcos has been researching demographics of the districts and compiling a comparative analysis. I looked into cities across the country that are similar in size to Costa Mesa and looked to see if they had core values or mission statements and what they were. And now we're compiling all of that together, and we're creating our final document, right now just the outline. We anticipate meeting 2 more times to complete the document and ensure it's ready for presentation. And we're trying to make sure we want to make sure that the diversity of every district is acknowledged and addressed. For all new parks or updates to parks, want to make sure, for example, it's inclusive for everyone, whether they're differently abled or maybe they need more grass than another neighborhood does. We want to ensure that park improvements and maintenance is equitable, so like it's not focusing on a park just because a bunch of residents are speaking up about that, because not every park will have the same attention given to it by the residents, because each demographic's different. So that's pretty much it. If anybody has any questions.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'd like to open this up for public comments. If you're interested in making a public comment, please come forward. I see public comment. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Taboda.
You're welcome. Thank you for thanking me. Anyway, I wanted to thank the commission for getting involved in the capital appropriation process. It's something I've campaigned for, urged the commission to do for a while, and I appreciate them doing it, especially under the leadership of Chair Brown and Vice Chair Wright, and Brian Gruner, Director Gruner. I think that process is working well, as just saw tonight, and just really appreciate that. And I hope it comes forth in the next capital appropriation process. Let's say probably next February timeframe. The staff will start putting together the budget for the following year, and that's where hopefully all this will come into fruition. So thank you to the commission, all of you, and to staff. Really appreciate that. And on a related note, I also appreciate the comments by the commissioners, some of you, on wanting to review the Fairview Park Master Plan. That definitely, in my opinion, should flow through the commission. I know it's been reviewed with the Fairview Park Steering Committee, and certainly they had input, but, and I hope maybe the commission's been aware of some of that input, especially with the liaisons, one of the liaisons from this commission to the steering committee. But definitely the commission, the Parks Commission, should be involved, and I hope that is on the next, your next agenda, to review that, whether it's a joint study session, that probably makes sense with the council, so as to not overly burden staff with having two, and the consultant with two presentations. But if there is a joint meeting, I urge you to make sure that your voices are heard and not just the council members. Because there was one meeting, I don't remember exactly, but it was a number of months ago, it was a joint meeting. And I'm not even sure if it was the PAX Commission or maybe it was the Planning Commission, and the council, but whatever commission that was, they were kind of in the background, and it was just council making comments. And so if it is a joint commission or joint meeting, make sure that you are heard as long with the council members. So thank you again.
Thank you. Ms. Vitari, is there anyone online?
Yes, we have Jasmine M. Jasmine M., you may speak. You can press *6 to unmute. Jasmine M., you can press *6 to unmute, or you can call in.
If they are having a hard time connecting, we can move to other public comment.
Other than Jasmine M., we do not have any other hands raised.
Maybe what we'll do is we will go to commissioner comments and questions, and then we can come back to Jasmine M. Okay. Commissioner comments, questions?
No, I just want to thank the three of you for putting in the time and peeling through in a very logical way. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Garcia Arcos.
Yeah, I found this very interesting for District 4 specifically. So because we're going to be putting a coffee shop, in District 4, studies show that 70% of District 4 have listed Spanish as a language spoken at home. Citywide, 29% have listed Spanish as a language spoken. I'm sorry, just an average, but Yeah, I think we should have signs that can guide and inform individuals of the majority that live in a certain area, just to kind of keep everybody in mind. 70% is a large percentage. Yeah, that was my comment. Thank you.
And as you know, we are very much talking about language as we've been meeting in those subcommittees, or in that subcommittee. Vice Chair Wright.
Yeah, I mean, just to go off of his point, like if we could reach out to like Spanish business owners, and even like there aren't many Spanish speaking employees at the library, and I feel like that's a really big gap. I know that that's a totally different, that's a county body that oversees the library, but I definitely think, you know, if we're going to control the coffee shop, we have the rec center, we should definitely be investing more in Spanish speaking employees. I think that would be really smart. Okay, my brief thoughts on this were just going to be a quick reminder of why we're doing this. It sounds like this is kind of just a check-in that we're chugging along, so thank you. And the why is not going to be hard to remember. So not being shown the Fairview Park master plan draft after so much time and money has been put into it and going straight to city council is kind of exactly why I was so passionate about doing something like this. Because then by the time something was shown to us, after the most important people already saw it, there wasn't really a lot of room for change, right? And then when you have 7 people up here, it's really hard to get everybody on the same page about putting a memo together or whatever, to then ask council to go back and reconsider our changes. So in my mind, this assignment that the ad hoc committee is working on, and then us, is not only to create a format for us to conducively provide feedback on important plans, but to also say that we think we should see some sort of draft or opportunity for feedback before it goes to council so that it can be considered when they are giving their input. So that is what I just wanted to say, that is why I'm really glad we're doing this, and it feels like a step forward in enhancing our processes and our commission's impact. So thanks for hanging in there, everybody.
So we will do our very best. We are very much on track to have a draft ready for review next month so that you all will get it a week in advance. A plea, though, to the public and really to city staff. I think last time I talked about, I'm envious how the other commissions get to have notices for their meetings on social media. I want that too. So I'm still knocking at that door. I'd really love to be on Instagram. And maybe what we could do is the principles and values might be the way to get on Instagram. Opening the door to people, that it's an opportunity for some to come and not just attend a meeting, but there's a very concrete thing that's going to be a page or 2 pages, right? So not 160 page master plan that we would expect somebody to read in a language that's not, their native language, but a 1 or 2 page document. I'd love to get that on Instagram, if we could, pretty please. Shall we go back to Jasmine M. if they're there?
Chair, there are currently no members on Zoom.
Oh, we lost Jasmine. Okay, thank you. Okay, moving from, Director Gruner, so sorry.
Yeah, no, that's quite okay, Madam Chair. Just a quick clarification. So there will be a presentation in regards to the progress, or will the ad hoc committee kind of conclude after this next? Because ad hoc committees do have to have a time frame in regards to when it starts and when it ends. So just some clarification on that.
I'm reading eyes right now, and I think the eyes would say that we're fully committed to having a draft done for the September meeting, so that there will be a draft and presentation at the next meeting. But that doesn't necessarily conclude the ad hoc committee. I would say would be dependent upon if the commission approves it or for some reason wants to send it back. I don't know, and I don't want to theorize on that, but we're fully committed to having a presentation and a document to show.
Okay, yeah, we just want to make sure that the public is also included and is aware of the progress and so forth. So I just want to, yeah, thank you.
Thank you we're on record, so we're doing it. Okay. Moving to new business, the Park Ranger biannual report. Lieutenant Diaz, thank you for staying with us tonight. Turn on your mic.
Good evening and welcome back. Good evening, members of the Park and Community Commission, and thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. As you know, I'm Lieutenant Carlos Diaz from the Police Department, and I'm currently the Area 1 Commander, and I oversee our Park Rangers unit. I'm here to provide updates on the current state of our Park Rangers unit and share the progress on key areas and discuss opportunities for continued collaboration and enhance the quality of life, safety, and accessibility of our parks here in Costa Mesa. As we all know, our parks are community assets, and I look forward to sharing how our valued park rangers are working to protect and improve these spaces. Excuse me. I want to highlight a few areas that we've worked on and welcome questions from the commission. There are 3 categories that I'll briefly be covering on the current state of our park ranger units. I'll cover the state of the unit, safety, and conservation. So currently we are budgeted for 7 park rangers with the Costa Mesa Police Department, and we are staffing only 5. In the last month, we've had 2 resignations, one for a family relocation out of state and another retirement. And the city of Costa Mesa currently has a testing process in play to replace these staff members that have left the department. The goals of the park rangers are basic. One is patrolling our city parks, all athletic facilities, recreation and community centers, bike paths, and any public property that belongs to the city of Costa Mesa, for example, the Downtown Recreation Center and the Senior Center. And we also collaborate with our Costa Mesa Homeless Network Solutions, Costa Mesa PD Community Policing Unit, and the Orange County Park Rangers. The job roles are to establish proactive patrols in the city and in the parks, exercise considerable judgment in the application of laws and municipal codes and misdemeanors. If they run into more complex investigations, we'll bring in our police department to start handling those investigations as well. Currently, we are covering 7 days a week, and we work around daylight savings. So whenever daylight saving ends in the wintertime around 6, 7 o'clock, that's when the park rangers finish their shifts. And in the summer, sometimes they're going 8, 8:30, and that's when their shifts end. So currently, we are enforcement activity that the park rangers have engaged in the last 6 months since the last time we were together. They have concentrated a lot on park rules in heavily populated areas throughout the city. So in the last 6 months, our park rangers have responded to about 1,000 calls for service, and they've issued about 243 citations to date. The 4 top citations that were issued throughout the parks and public properties were entering closed parked areas, possession of open containers and paraphernalia, dog leash violations, and bike parking. They engaged in about 90 reports from various incidents, including about 136 arrests. I know that last time that we all got together, a lot of you expressed that you wanted to go on ride-alongs, and we established those ride-alongs, and I hope that all of you went. I believe that you went. If you didn't, then we'd love to have you back out. And if you want to go on another ride-along, we'd love to invite you to it. But as you can see in this slide, the 2 park rangers, they are constantly walking, and they're patrolling a lot of these areas and going deep into these areas. And they do a wonderful job. And it's a span of control of about 30 parks throughout the city, including other areas that are owned by the city. In regards to safety and security, our park rangers are actively busy, especially in the summer. I know that earlier you guys were speaking about concerts in the park and movies in the park. Our park rangers were out there for every one of those events, and they did an excellent job. I received a lot of positive reports regarding their activities. And also at the fish fry event, we reported no major incidents, thankfully. And it's always great to see our citizens and our visitors that visit Costa Mesa have a good time at these events, because that's the intended target. So currently, we are trying to improve on safety in our park ranger program. Last time we spoke, we had no drone operations, but I spoke about the importance of drone operations. And since then, we have had 2 of our park rangers get licensed through the FAA, so now they are considered drone pilots. And they've actually, we've had 2 operations at Fairview Park, for example, on trying to get e-bikes out there. It takes a lot of planning to have these enforcement activities, but we have had a lot of success in them. Our current equipment includes 3 F-150 trucks. They're half-ton pickup trucks that we go throughout the city: Fairview Park, Talbot Park, Lions Park. And we also have the use of e-bikes, as you saw in the current slide. Those e-bikes are used about once a week to do directed enforcement and also patrolling. It's also an outreach tool for park rangers to engage with the public. They're great icebreakers for them, and it allows them to be more maneuverable throughout the parks and throughout the city. And inside our trucks, we have also got a small arsenal of small tools to combat just small fires, which I'll talk about next. As I was speaking about fires and tools, every month in the last 6 months, we've had reported fires that our park rangers have either walked up on or are observing themselves. That's a lot of fires to have one every month. During our fire season, we actually established during the Santa Ana wind events, we had park rangers park at Fairview Park and actually have a fire watch. During that fire watch in the last Santa Ana wind event, they actually reported 4 fires, which, as you know, can be, they start small. We don't hear about them very much. And in fact, during that last season at nighttime, our police helicopter partners at Huntington Beach Police Department actually called out a fire that was pretty significant in size, as we can all recall. But their presence saved a lot of acres, and they did a great job reporting those fires and coordinating the proper resources out there. Throughout some of these investigations that they're doing, we've been going in a Talbot Park lot, and as you can see in this picture, they've recovered a lot of copper wire theft. That is a lot of copper wire, as you can see in the photo, that our park rangers are stumbling upon and getting our Investigative Services Bureau involved to start closing out a lot of these theft cases throughout the city. As you know, copper is very expensive. It's a recyclable item, and there's a lot of stealing going on, not only city-wise, but regionally and throughout the state. And also, we've had a lot of significant arrests regarding theft and drugs at Talbot Park. In March of 2025, since the last time we spoke, a lot of the residents on Parkview Circle began complaining of homeless encampments in the area of Talbot Park between the Randall Preserve and Talbot Park South. I went out to speak with the residents and I was able to identify a lot of the issues where they were coming from, and they were actually coming from within Randall Preserve. Last time we spoke, there was a lot of issues with boundaries and what belonged to who, City of Newport Beach, County of Orange, the federal government, the City of Costa Mesa. And through a collaboration with the Orange County Sheriff's Department, Newport Beach Police Department, the Coastal Corridor Alliance, and the Orange County Park Rangers, we were able to establish some easements, what belonged to the city, what belonged to the county, what belonged to the federal government, and we all worked in collaboration and actually had a big cleanup of Randall Preserve. But with that, most of that cleanup affects the city of Costa Mesa directly because everything exits through 19th Street. And so since then, we've been having a lot of outreach with our homeless network solution to try to get these folks help, but also at the same time, starting to enforce the law, doing cleanups within Talbot Park to ensure that it does not become problematic the way it was for our residents on Parkview Circle. During the summer, our park rangers concentrated their efforts at Lions Park as well. As you can see in this image, we have dedicated a lot of enforcement time at that area, all for the pool, the library, and the Norma Herzog Center. We had a street medicine van that came around periodically to give medicine to our homeless population, and we've now collaborated with that organization to ensure that when they do come to the park, that our park rangers are present to prevent loitering afterward. That's important to ensure that not only our folks are getting, our residents or persons experiencing homelessness are getting the proper services that they need, but also that they're not loitering and causing trouble or trash at Lions Parks. Our park rangers have done a great job. And we've also been concentrating on the restroom areas as well to ensure that there's enforcement there to make sure that we keep those areas clean. More enforcement and concentration is occurring at Fairview Park. I know there's been a lot of discussion on Fairview Park tonight, but our park rangers have spent a significant amount of time at Fairview Park. As you know, it's a lot of acres in there, and most of the time it's traversed through e-bikes, but we're also getting our half-ton pickup in there as well to ensure that, one, people are staying within the maintained trails and that they are not entering these prohibited areas. As you can see in this photo, this is what we call Dinosaur Hills. We've worked with our Public Works Department in the past trying to come up with some ideas on how to create natural barriers for this area because it's heavily traversed. As you can see in the photo, there's a lot of erosion occurring because of not e-bikes, but bicycles and people traversing on the ground, just to ensure that we're not, our residents and our visitors are not destroying this area. It's important to us. And one of the last parks that we've also been concentrating on is Heller Park on the south end of the city. We've kind of been seeing some upticks in graffiti, and we had 2 recent arrests for graffiti, and our park rangers have been visiting that park a lot just to ensure that it's safe and our visitors and our residents can enjoy the park as well. I'd like to speak about conservation as well. You know, when I speak about Fairview Park, Talbot Park, Lions Park, conservation is an important element that our park rangers are engaging in. We understand the impact to the land when people are creating their own trails, creating fires, creating trash, as you saw in some of these previous slides. We are constantly on top of that to ensure that, one, it doesn't create a massive problem, and second, that our park rangers are enforcing laws to ensure that we are not creating more problems that we need to. That's part of the reason why our park rangers use bikes, and some of the future considerations that we're trying to do. As you saw in previous slides, we had an F-150 half-ton truck. It's not really conducive to traversing Fairview Park and Talbot Park. So one of the considerations that we're doing as a department is exploring side-by-side utility vehicles so our park rangers can have less impact on the environment and less impact on these trails. And for the future, our department is moving towards what's called a real-time operations center. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the term, but real-time operations center is it's the future of policing. Is where you see a lot of cameras, our license plate reader technologies, our body-worn cameras all come into play at once, and we're able to view things in live feeds and direct our resources to have better allocation throughout the city. Some of the parks right now that are currently going under renovation, such as Ketchum Libel Park, Skate Park, Shalimar Park, They've all been equipped with, or planning to be equipped with cameras that will be fed into our agency. Some of those cameras are live now, for example, at the Joanne Bike Trail, which is also patrolled by our park rangers. We have the ability to see what is happening on at those locations in real time, which is good for the police department, where we're able to allocate resources properly rather than blanketing the area with a lot of personnel when sometimes it's necessary or unnecessary at the same time. But, and lastly, we are also working on, with our city attorney for possible future municipal code implementations to help clean up the parks and make our spaces a little bit more safer and enjoyable. Thank you for allowing me to speak to the commission, and I welcome questions.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'd like to first open it up to public comment before we take commissioner comments and questions. Is there anyone in the chambers who would like to make a public comment? Seeing none, is there anyone online?
Chair, there are currently no members on Zoom.
Okay. Commissioner comments and questions. I'm going to look this way first, and then I'll look this way. Commissioner Houston.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to say if the department was able to get a side-by-side, that I might sign up for a couple new ride-alongs, because I think that would be super fun. But no, anyways, in all seriousness, I had a couple questions about the Randall Preserve, because you kind of mentioned everybody coming together. So I guess my first question is, in your mind, who's in charge, if you will? Has that been sorted out, or is that an ongoing discussion? And then kind of segued from that is, can you talk about how that meeting came together? I mean, was there like one entity or person that put everybody in one room, or how did that all come together?
Sure, that's a great question. Thank you, Commissioner. So currently the Randall Preserve is overseen by the Coastal Alliance. They are in charge of that area while there is cleanup occurring. The estimates of that cleanup is anywhere between a year to 2 years from now. Once that cleanup is complete, then it's going to move over to a alliance that is based out of Los Angeles County, and they're going to be moving in where they're going to have a armed park ranger patrolling that area. And as soon as that cleanup is complete, that's when it's going to be taken over. The purpose of that meeting, what I was talking about earlier, came about as a result of the complaints coming from Parkview Circle. We contacted the County of Orange, and we contacted the Coastal Alliance, and they invited us onto the property. And once we had all our agencies together, we started learning what the real boundary maps are within that facility, or not facility, but within that area. And we started coordinating, like, this area belongs to the Orange County Sheriff's Department. We originally believed that it belonged to the city of Newport Beach, which they do have an easement there, but their easement actually is all underground. It's not above the surface. So little nuances like that that you learn, or that we learned as a team, we were able to come together, put a plan together with the Orange County Sheriff's Department, and in June of this year, we had a big encampment cleanup, because not only does it affect the Sheriff's Department, the city of Newport Beach, the city of Costa Mesa, it affects our residents directly at Parkview Circle. So that's part of the reason why we had that cleanup. And as a result of that cleanup, we understand that most of these folks are going to be pushed out to Talbot Park North and South, and we will have occasional cleanups to ensure that that's either mitigated or kept at bay, so it doesn't become a bigger problem and it doesn't become an encampment within the city of Costa Mesa.
I'll just say on a personal note, I go in that area with my boys all the time, so thank you guys very much, because I appreciate all the work you're doing. Thanks.
Thank you.
Commissioner Garcia Arcos.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. Out of curiosity, you said there are some cameras on some of those locations, some of those parks. I noticed that the one in Shalimar Park recently was broken after 4th of July. I believe they were aiming for it and managed to break. They fixed it. Are you guys currently inspecting things like that and reporting it to the city for them to take care of?
Yes, so the camera system that is in place now, and you're absolutely right, one of those cameras was broken, and we were made aware of it right away because we get signals that either the camera's malfunctioning or it's not working correctly. We did realize what happened, and so currently we're trying to come up with some strategies to protect those assets because they are important assets. We're not invading space per se, but it's important to have an eye on things just to ensure that we understand public safety and that people are safe. But as soon as things are broken, we have third-party contractors that we can work with to get that equipment replaced. Sometimes those pieces of equipment are on back order, and that's part of the reason why you see some stuff not fixed right away. Especially with technology, it gets a little challenging to fix it sometimes, and we have a lot of cameras out there.
Yeah, I noticed there's three, one on Pomona and 18th, the other one's in James and Wallace, and then the other one's in Shalimar by Placentia.
Right, those are license plate readers that we have throughout the city. They are on our website, and we have all the locations. We have 46 cameras throughout the city, and they're not taking pictures of people's faces. It's only license plate reading technology that are looking for stolen vehicles, persons that are wanted, and persons that are missing or reported missing.
Yeah, on that subject, were you able to manage to like use those cameras to catch the person from the incidents on Saturday and Sunday of last week?
So I can't comment on active investigations publicly, but the police department will use any available tool that we have to bring any case to a resolution.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's really important to anybody listening here today. There has been a lot of incidents. It's been really active. Unfortunately, one of a family friend got stabbed, a 15-year-old girl, and bled to death close to Shalimar Park. And we're fortunate enough to have cameras like that. And then just day after, a few shootings happened, and yeah, I think it's really important for us to like really understand what's going on, and if you're looking to, if you feel generous, I can share the mom's contact information. We're currently working on a kermesse that can hopefully help them pay for the $30,000 that they have to, go through, and that's just a financial burden that we want to take away from their shoulders. But thank you for all the work that you do. I think it's really important for us to share information that is just not, it's not the best news, but it is bringing people together in one way or another. So.
Thank you, Commissioner. I know it's a very unfortunate incident, and I wish the police department was never investigating that because no 15-year-old should die on any street anywhere in this country. And we certainly feel empathetic towards the family, and our Investigative Services Bureau went out there and worked hard to solve that case.
Yeah. On just adding to that, she had recently won a scholarship to go full ride to Spain and play soccer. She was very inspired, just dedicated, and was in clubs. I mean, she was just in the wrong place at the wrong location. And I encourage you all to reach out to the family. And if you can donate, that would be really helpful at this moment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Dorn-Parker.
Thank you, and thank you for the dedication, the report, and the ride-along. It's really been informative to me the few times I've done that. So I'm confused. So we've lost rangers. What are the total number of full-time rangers we have right now? Is it only 3 or 2?
So currently we are at 5, and we're budgeted for 7.
7. Okay, so 2 had left.
2 have left.
Okay, and we're recruiting because we have so many. I mean, the good part about our city is we have so many parks. The challenging part is many of our parks are Fairview, but there's a lot going on.
Yes, we have a sergeant that's in charge of supervising this park ranger program, including the training. Our last person that came on, he had a very successful training, and he's now operating by himself. and working with the team. So we are very confident that we will have a good recruitment this filing period, and we will concentrate our efforts in training these 2 individuals and bringing them up to speed. Lucky for these 2 candidates, whoever they are, they're coming on to a great team with the remainder 5 park rangers. They're very intelligent, very street savvy, and they do a wonderful job out there, as all of you saw in your ride-alongs, how dedicated they are to Costa Mesa's parks.
So if I understand, moving to sort of the video is, I know the city is moving to more technology to do rapid deployment. And I know when I was there, we had talked a lot about being able to have the drones. So I know there's some concern about the drones over birds and making sure. So what is the stage? Because I know part of the training and part of your recognition is some of the parks that the drones would be really effective on are in fact the drones, the parks that are most impacted with wildlife and a corridor kind of system of birds.
So our drone operations currently work under FAA rules, and we have a certificate of authorization from the FAA to fly in most parts of the city. The police department, or at least the city of Costa Mesa, is within a very controlled airspace.
Yeah, because of the airport. Yeah.
The airport, and John Wayne Airport, I believe it's either the 5th or the 6th busiest airport in the nation. So we have to be cognizant as an agency of how we operate our drones, because one, we don't want to lose our certification, and second, as I was talking about conservation, we want to ensure that we don't hit birds. It's important to me, at least as an avid hiker. I love nature and I love Fairview Park, and I think that everyone should enjoy it, and including the birds. But in all kidding aside, it's important that our operators are cognizant. Right now we're flying beyond visual line of sight with our drones, but as an added measure of safety, we have dedicated observers that are looking at the sky as the second person is operating a drone to ensure that, one, we have air deconfliction and that we're not going into homes, buildings, structures, and wildlife.
Okay. No, thank you, because I know that. And then also that you're innovating to try to figure out the vehicles that have the most patrol power, I guess, but the least impact would be, changing out of the F-150, which is a great tool, but not necessarily at Fairview or some of the other parks.
Right, and that's part of the reason why I mentioned side-by-side vehicles, because it is important to maintain good land mitigation impact. I think it's absolutely important that we're not destroying the land in attempts to patrol or keep an eye on trails. So we are constantly evaluating our equipment to ensure that we have not only the best equipment, but the most efficient equipment for the job that is occurring.
Thank you. The last thing I had a question on, because I know one of the concerns with, video in the sky and also video, eyes on the city is important, but I know there's some concerns about privacy.
Sure.
So I know, especially in our parks and our open spaces that we have in these high density areas, is there a policy where I know that the readers of the vehicles there's something where they're read and they're not they're not stored in video that our federal government can demand. There's a lot of concern about a lot of the material we collect can now start being demanded to be turned over to others that aren't necessarily going to have our best intent for our residents. So, and I do hear from people they feel much safer having the technology be used for safety, so you have instant. This is not as safety as losing a 15-year-old to the daylight of this violent crime, but when you have these youngsters who are very have these powerful e-bikes that are just tearing things up, it'd be nice to see in instant time so that we have an idea to help educate them on where the bikes shouldn't go, and also help make sure that they're not riding vehicles that they're not allowed to ride.
Sure. As you know, we also work with our public information officer, and we, as all of you have seen, we've put out some Instagram posts of enforcement of e-bikes, both at Fairview Park and on the streets. In regard to privacy with the drones, our drone operations, our flight operations are always mission-based, meaning that we don't randomly send up a airborne drone just to fly around and take a look at what's happening. It's usually as a result of a call for service, an investigation, or a mission. For example, at Fairview Park, when our mission was to look for e-bikes. We are looking for that. And everything that is recorded, it's usually downloaded as evidence for either prosecution, training, or situational awareness. And so we are not randomly going up as an agency and just flying at random to look at people or at their homes. It's always mission-based for the incidents that I described.
Thank you. Thank you for clarifying.
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Kamala.
So what's the approximate timeline to get back to being fully staffed in terms of offer, training, offer acceptance?
So when the filing date closes here in the next couple weeks, we will have a interview for all our candidates, and depending on the interviews and how successful they are, which I believe they will be, we will have a select list, and then the process of hiring starts. They go through the interview, a background process, a medical screening, and then once they clear all those, which usually takes a couple weeks, employment is offered, and then it usually takes about 2 months to train a park ranger.
And then I know you mentioned the reduction in coverage from daylight savings to standard time. About how much is that? And I guess that'll kind of alleviate some of the need for 7 rangers to buy you a little bit of time, right?
Yeah, so when we operate around daylight savings time in the winter time, usually when the sun goes down around 6, that's when their shift ends. We believe as a department that once the sun goes down and people are at the park after dark, it becomes an issue for our sworn officers because of the danger at night. At daylight savings time in the summer where we're at now, sun goes down around 8 o'clock and they'll work up until about 8:30 at night. And then again, it becomes our police department sworn officers that take over if there's any calls for service or enforcement action at local parks.
Okay, so it's just mainly on the back end, so about 2, maybe 3 hours a day variance?
It's about a 2-3 hour day variance.
Okay. And then last one is, I know we lost the 2 rangers, you said, based on retirement and relocation. Is there any anticipated turnover for the 5 rangers we have right now?
No, we don't have any anticipated turnover for them.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Ledger.
So when you train park rangers and everything, do they learn all of the rules of each park, like which ones are allowed to have inflatables for birthday parties and who the approved vendors are so that they know if, they see it, when to address it?
So some of the training includes building relationships with our park ambassadors. Those are the folks that are out there monitoring the permits and the parks. So our park rangers work very closely with them, and if there's any issues that in regard to municipal code violations or penal code violations, our park rangers will take over it as well. They're also they have training in what's called 832 of the penal code, which gives them powers of arrest while they're working. They're not making physical arrests out there, but they're also writing citations that are considered arrests in regards to municipal code and penal codes.
Okay. And so I do want to do another ride along. I actually ran into a couple of park rangers a few months ago and talked about that, and they said I should do it on a weekend because it's completely different than the weekday. But also I'd like to do a walk along of Talbot Park. I don't know if that's a possibility, but I'd love to walk through that with a park ranger and see all the issues.
Sure. Yeah, that shouldn't be a problem. And I'll extend that to all the commissioners. If we want to get together as a group, I'll walk down there with you and we'll show you some of the problematic areas. It's it's always great to have a visual of what we're talking about. It's one thing to talk about it. It's a second thing to look at it on a photo. But when you're physically walking something, it's a whole different picture. Just like a police car and an e-bike, it's two complete different ways of patrolling the city, and you have way different perspectives. So just like our last ride-alongs that we all went on, I'll extend that invitation. If you guys want to walk Talbot Park, I will walk with you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd like to do both a weekend ride-along and walk through Talbot Park whenever that could be arranged.
On a cool day, hopefully.
Yeah. So with all the fires that you mentioned, I know some of it's going to be homeless campments, but is any of it arson?
I don't know about arson directly because those investigations are usually handled by our fire department, but a lot of them have to do with homeless encampments. And our park rangers, I want to stress this enough, that they are not engaging in firefighting operations. If they're in the park and they see a 1 foot, 2 feet, 3 foot fire, they'll do what they can to put it out. But if it starts growing over, 7, 10 feet, our fire department, they're the skilled people at it, and we'll rely on them. But mostly our park rangers are out there as observers and trying to handle these and try to mitigate fires at the lowest level possible. As they're going through, for example, Canyon Park, they'll see remnant signs of smoldering. Even though that's not a fire, it still has the potential of a fire, and they'll put it out with their shovels and their picks that they carry on their pickup trucks.
Thank you. And then finally for Shalimar Park, has there been any uptick in the patrolling from the park rangers since there has been a lot of incidents there, not at that park, but that neighborhood recently?
Based on some of these incidents, we're leaving it more towards our sworn personnel to start patrolling these areas as well, just to ensure safety for the residents and ensure that we're trying to prevent as much violence as possible.
Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Chair Wright, do you have any comments?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Of course.
I just want to say I love living here. I feel so safe, and I'm so grateful for that. One of my favorite parts of the ride-along was that anytime we came across a homeless person, that the rangers knew them by name. And my neighborhood park is Lions Park, and so that just made me feel a lot better to know, like, these people are our community members and they're known by name. So I really appreciated that. I think my only thought is that I would really like to bring the park ranger data report back. We've had a lot of community members sort of speak out in support of that, and I don't even really know why it stopped. I think we used to get it maybe on a quarterly basis or something. So I just wanted that to be noted, that I would love to have that come back. And yeah, thanks for your presentation.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that.
Lieutenant, I just want to say I appreciate the way in which your report covered everything from safety to preservation, and it feels very comprehensive in that way in terms of the different touch points that the program has. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
I have a question about the real-time operations, and I'm curious if you can talk to me, the real-time operations center. What is the technology that's being used in a center like that in order to process all of the different data that's coming in?
Sure. So just to be clear, we do not have a real-time operations center as of yet. We are heading in that direction as a department. The type of technology that goes into that is license plate reading technology, traffic camera technology, our camera systems that we have throughout parks, trails, those technologies. And we have a consolidated system, or an anticipated consolidated system, that will bring these systems in place and be able to look at the city as a whole in a 3D capacity and try to detect and prevent crime from occurring. And if it does occur, and it will, a real-time operations center, just like its namesake, is providing information at real time, where you can direct and allocate those resources to a specific location, where you can see something in real time, live.
Is it using, I mean, do those centers typically, these are ignorant questions, I just don't know.
They're not ignorant.
Do you use, I mean, I'm assuming it uses AI in some way to process all that data.
There's a lot of technology that's using AI. Most of the systems that are coming into play in law enforcement, such as data records, real-time operation centers, are going to use AI in some capacity because it's a lot of data-intensive information that's coming through. When you start getting 50-plus cameras and you try to get one person to look at all these cameras at once, it's going to be next to impossible. But if you have a system that's telling you something's happening here, look at it, then we have the ability to use AI to assist us in pinpointing things a little bit faster.
How is facial recognition used?
So facial recognition, we have a policy for it. The way it works is it gathers images from arrest photos, and it tries to compare images based on investigations, not just at random, and tries to compare them to images that are already into the system. And it gives you possible matches, but it's not concrete evidence. Once you say you get a hit on an image, an investigation still has to take place to ensure that that is the person that you're actually looking at.
I just want to, I know this is outside of a park's purview, but I am curious, what's the timeline for something like that in Costa Mesa, if you had to guess?
For the real-time operations center? We are inching closer to it. Obviously, it's a staffing issue, it's a funding issue, and it's a space issue. But once we have those three elements in place, we should be able to have an operations center in the very near future.
Interesting. Thank you. I just want to acknowledge having only 7 rangers for all the parks in Costa Mesa feels stretched super thin. So I just, I know money is tight, but that might be something that when we're thinking about principles and values and all of the different things that go into it, 7 rangers for all the parks feels really, really thin. Thank you, Vice Chair Wright, for bringing up the data reports, because that was something that I was going to go on record and say. We heard from a fair amount of public. I mean, in terms of the number of people who come to our meetings and write in, a lot of people have asked for those data reports. Some people wanted them every meeting. Some commissioners wanted the data every meeting. I personally would be happy with the data on a quarterly basis. I feel like I'm operating a bit in the blind, like in the dark here, where I'm not sure about citations in the parks. I don't know where these trends are happening, where the incidences are happening. I just don't know, I don't know, right? And so, hearing about the 243 citations leaves me with more questions.
Sure. The majority, and like I said earlier in my presentation, the majority of the concentration of enforcement activity is going to be in your mostly heavily populated parks. Fairview Park, Lions Park, Talbot Park. Those are the main areas of concentration where our park rangers are spending a significant amount of time, and that's where most of your citations are going to be coming out of. But there's 30 parks throughout the city. Our park rangers are not ignoring these parks at all. They've gone up to Schiffer Park, for example. There've been a lot of complaints of dog leash violations there, and they've issued some citations out of that park. Like I said last time in our last meeting, different parks, different neighborhoods, they all have their own culture and their own way of doing things. Some residents are okay with dogs, hanging out at their park without a leash. Other parks, it's not tolerated at all. And so our rangers are very cognizant of that, and they engage, that spirit versus letter of the law. And, they use significant judgment when it comes to those kind of things, and just to keep balance throughout all 30 parks here in Costa Mesa. And I'm very proud of them. They do really good work, and they are a pride of our agency.
I think data reports would actually be a really great way to reflect that. so that people can see it and see what that work is, what it actually looks like. Just a request to actually have those data reports back. And we can talk, I know at one meeting we talked about maybe revisiting the form, what they look like. I think we need them. I think not having anything just leaves us, I think it could actually save time, you know, just to get it. So just maybe that's something that we can talk about when we do agenda prep. Vice Chair Wright and I, because I know we've been talking about this for a while. But if there aren't any more commissioner comments or questions.
If I can piggyback on you, because one of the things that we anecdotally we feel 7 park rangers are not enough. But without any data to show, for example, we know Randall Park has now impacted the work of the rangers and our law enforcement in ways that we didn't anticipate, because it's basically not a patrolled open space. And so having the extra work to now coordinate this, so some of the data that was being pulled could really help justify more rangers, the time. And also you can see, I know you analyze it for trends, but so I know you were just talking about dogs off leash. In most of the areas, the complaint I get when I walk by and they see my badge, now that I have a badge again, is they get mad about the dogs off leash because the interaction with the playground and the children, and then the dog fighting, and also then you have the people who don't have a place. So I think it would really help for us to promote and to be able to understand the impact of all the use the parks are getting, and where you see sort of the trends and where we need to advocate, because that's part of what we get appointed to do, is work in the public and then work with our city council appointments. So that's where I look at the data, is to drive. It's not, you know, I anecdotally know dogs off leash in most every park that has a playground is a bad thing. But how do you solve it? You can't ticket your way out. You can't do any of that. So that's how I look at this information.
Yes, ma'am, and certainly I've noted it, and I'll work with Director Gruner on this to ensure that we can give you the information that the commission wants, and hopefully we can come to a good resolution on that.
Thank you. Director Gruner.
Yeah, I just want to add to that real quick. You know, we can certainly work on that and come up maybe with a different type of reporting system that's going to be a little bit more clear, you know, clearer data that is understandable. It's my understanding, and this was before my time, but that some of the data, if we don't have a police officer here, are kind of meaningless because we can't explain it. We're not police officers, and just keeping the being mindful of. You know, I know the police department still has not all of their recruits filled at this time, so they're limited on staff, and just being mindful of that so we can provide a comprehensive report that's meaningful.
Commissioner Kamale, I think you have a question or a comment.
Just a quick question. The police incident viewer available online, is that fairly accurate?
The police incident viewer?
There was like, I was looking at it, and there was, I think it was linked through the city website. My laptop just died, but it said
the city mapping.
Yeah,
yes.
And it has all the incidents on there. You can click in, you can see the incidents for a 3, 7, 14-day period. Is that pretty accurate and up to date?
For the most part, it's up to date. Yes.
Okay, because I mean that might be a good tool for us to kind of pulse it before like a more comprehensive report to see what's happening.
Sure.
Thank you. I'd make a motion to receive and file. Can I have a second?
No vote is needed.
No vote is needed. Okay, never mind. Thank you so much.
Thank you
really
very much
appreciate
for your time.
it.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
New business item number 2, donation of a memorial tree and plaque. Mr. Ryan.
Let me get the presentation to come up. Bear with me 1 second. There we go. Thank you, Chair Brown. Commissioners, next item before you is a request to receive a donation of a memorial tree and plaque to be installed at Tewinkle Park. The city received a request from James Ortiz requesting permission from this commission to donate a memorial, not a bench, sorry, a tree and plaque in memory of his father, Jim Ortiz, who passed away in December of 2024. That letter is included as attachment 1 in your packet. Now, the tree would be planted at Tewinkle Park. Many of you may be familiar with Jim. Jim was an employee of the city of Costa Mesa for 23 years. He began his career in 2001 working at the Costa Mesa Country Club as part of their landscape maintenance team. He rose quickly through the ranks in the Maintenance Services Division of Public Works, serving as a supervisor and superintendent, to name a few of his roles. Jim obtained his certified arborist license and was appointed to the city arborist in 2015. That was one of Jim's proudest moments, is when he obtained that certified arborist license. His son James shared fond memories of quizzing his dad as he prepared to sit for the exam. And Jim was always proud to include that title when anyone asked him what he did for a living. It was always, I'm a certified arborist, or I'm the city arborist. And it was the city arborist with a lot of pride behind that. Jim was active in a number and participated in a number of community programs, most notably Neighbors to Neighbors, which was a program where volunteers and city staff got together and helped residents with projects around their homes and various tasks. And of course, leading the way on Arbor Day and making sure the city maintained its Tree City USA standing. So the donation, like I mentioned, is going to be at T. Winkle Park. You can see the green dot there. It's going to be on the east side of the lower lake. So Jim's son James shared that one of their favorite games was, what kind of tree is that? And according to James, obviously it was a one-sided game. His dad won all the time, but he just knew how much it meant to his father, and so he played along. One of their favorite places to play the game was at T. Winkle Park, and T. Winkle Park was definitely one of Jim's happy places. They created countless memories in the city, throughout the community. T. Winkle Park has always held a special place in their hearts. They spent time together there enjoying ponds, the wildlife, the trees. A memorial at T. Winkle Park would not only honor Jim's life, but also serve as a place where family, friends, and community members can reflect on the joy he brought to those around them. After reviewing a few sites, again, this is staff agreed that the most suitable location of the park would be on the east side of the lower lake. It's indicated by the green arrow there. That would be the rough location. The photo on the left is kind of a broader view of that kind of open area. There's no existing tree very close by. So, and it's removed again from the area that of the renovation, the upcoming renovation at T. Winkle Lake. So it's outside of that project area. Another reason for this location was, and I didn't mention this, but I put the picture in here, is we have another tree there from a past employee who passed away, Herman Torres. That's at the corner of Junipero and Arlington, right behind the monument sign for the park. Herman was, and Jim were very close. Jim brought Herman over from the golf course over to the city side with him. When Jim was, before Jim retired, he had a photo of Herman in his office and a work shirt with Herman's name on it. So another reason we felt it was really appropriate to have that location close by Herman's tree. I think it would mean a lot to Jim and to Herman. So the city chose, or the city staff and a family chose a camphor tree. And that is the same tree that Herman has dedicated to him. So it's a sample photo of a boxed camphor tree there on the left. It'll be a single trunk rather than a multi-trunk, just to have some visibility of the lakes. And then, of course, there's the sample plaque that's on the right there, sample what that'll look like. So again, staff reviewed the suggested location, determined that it's suitable for the tree and the plaque, have minimum physical impact on the city. The submitted request does meet the city council requirements, and therefore it's recommended that the commission approve the request from James Ortiz for the donation of the tree in memory of Jim Ortiz. And that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. This feels like a very memorable donation. Any public comment in the chambers? No public comment. Anyone online at this late hour?
If any members of the public on Zoom wish to speak, please raise your hand. Chair, I see no hands raised.
Sadly, none. Okay, thank you. Commissioner comments, questions? Commissioner Garcia Arcos.
Yeah, I had the honor to work alongside with Jim. Very inspiring and just, yeah, outgoing, and always wanted to plant more trees and care for them. So that was really, really cool. I had the opportunity. He actually told me to give you guys one of these, and I had one of my friends drop it off. So hopefully you guys still hold on to these. It was in a planting event. So it's Arbor Day Foundation, and for every tree, Mr. Ryan, can you explain how we get these? This is plant trees.
Yeah, I think we received those from the Arbor Day Foundation to hand out to participants who came in to help us plant trees on various occasions, and typically that was done on Arbor Day. So it's something that Jim felt very strongly about and arranged to have those there to hand out to people that showed up to plant trees, and then just to share the importance, an opportunity to touchstone to share the importance of planting trees and caring for the urban forest. So it was very important to him. Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. I also wanted to ask a question just to assure that we get the best tree, and just to make sure that it lives for a long time and has a healthy structure. Is there anything that we're doing currently to make sure that we're not just receiving a tree from the nursery that they're picking? Is there an arborist that is like looking at different trees as options?
Typically, in a donation of this manner, we would ask for photos of the trees before we receive them, and then we receive the trees. The arborist does review the trees we receive prior to signing off, and if there's anything that's not right or damaged, we do return those trees. It happens infrequently, but it does happen from time to time.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see that tree on the ground. Thank you.
Any other commissioner comments, questions? Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Would Commissioner Garcia,
You may vote
would
on
you
your
like to
di-
make a second since you knew him so well?
Give me 1 second. I can
Thank you.
change the motions.
Thank you.
So we have Commissioner Ledger as our first motion and Commissioner Garcia Arcos as our second. Give me 1 second. You may vote on your dais.
Thank you for doing that.
Motion carries 7-0 to approve the tree donation and plaque at Tewinkle Park.
Wonderful. That is the end of new business. Are there any additional commissioner or staff comments?
I have one.
Commissioner Ledger?
No. Sorry, mic's already on. I wanted to say it didn't come up in anything that I could have added it before, so sorry for doing it at the end, but we really need to have more communication between the commissions. So, for example, the housing going up, was it on Bear Street? The Parks Department should be aware of that, like before it's approved, things like that, so we could discuss how it affects our parks, things like that. The Arts Commission should know what we're doing in the parks. And so I just want to propose, I don't know if it needs to go to the city council, but maybe the chair and vice chairs or whatever need to meet quarterly or something with all together to discuss these things. So just throwing that out there.
I do appreciate that, and I think more formality around it could be helpful. The mayor does meet with, we have quarterly breakfasts with the mayor, all of the chairs of the commissions. But I think that what you're proposing might be something a little bit more, something a little different. Let me put it that way. So thank you for that. Yeah, and with chairs and vice chairs.
I can add to that. So the sanitary, water, school board, and city council, they send reps and they meet up quarterly. So there's definitely framework that exists for cross-department collaboration. So great idea. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Garcia Arcos.
Yeah, I wanted to leave this on a positive note. Bright Youth is a nonprofit that's starting off, and they'll be hosting Back to School Fresh this Sunday. They've been doing this for 4 years in a row, and they'll be giving away free backpacks, haircuts. There's going to be free food, and it's just going to be really good environment. So I encourage everybody to see if you can fit that on your calendar. It's going to be from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. So, yeah.
Yeah, where?
At Shalimar Park.
Okay, seeing Director Gruner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just do want to have a couple closing comments. The question came up in regards to ad hocs and if there's anything that kind of prevents them from being formed. If you recall, back on July 8th, the council did have a study session where they kind of talked about the roles and responsibilities of commissions and committees, and that topic kind of came up, and there are some parameters that we do have to follow. The city attorney has to approve any new ad hoc, so we kind of bypassed that by forming our ad hoc. So I did inform the city attorney about that. And at that point in time, obviously, it was too late to get her approval because it was already formed. So keeping that in mind, that there is a process, there's also, depending on the workload of what the ad hoc is looking at, from staff, there are some limitations there in regards to how much we can contribute. We do have like a 4-hour limit. Anything beyond that would kind of have to get approval from, the city manager, as well as the city attorney. So there are some parameters that we do have to be cognitive of in informing these. I do want to mention, if there's ever a time where, like, let's say 3 commissioners want to work together, do research, we don't necessarily have to form an ad hoc committee for that. That can be done just arbitrarily where they get together and meet. That wouldn't be a violation of the Brown Act either. So that's just something to keep in mind. Not everything would have to have some type of subcommittee. So I just want to throw that out there for the commission. In regards to the tennis affordability, that is certainly something our department is supporting, and that's why we're kind of analyzing the current proposed fees that does not quite align with that philosophy. So that's why we're very diligent in resolving this matter as quickly as possible. So I do want to mention that as well, because it does have to be affordable for our community. That is what Costa Mesa is philosophically believing in, as it should, to make it affordable and accessible to everybody, particularly our residents here in the city. So that's my last closing comments. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And I just want to talk for maybe a minute about the subcommittee piece. I was in the middle of the Redwoods camping when I heard that this was on the agenda for City Council. A suggestion in terms of process for this kind of conversation, that's the kind of item that I think it would be really helpful to actually put out to the public as being an item that would be on an agenda more than a week or 2 in advance. That one took me entirely by surprise. I didn't know it was coming up before I left on vacation. That's unfortunate, right? It very much limits public engagement, including like one of your initial publics, your commission. And secondly, just a note to those city staff who work on that, something like that has, I would say, some kind of significance or ramifications, maybe including it on a summer agenda isn't the way to go. Like, that strikes me as a consequential business item, something that some of us might want to weigh in on. I wouldn't put it on a summer agenda. I would only put it on a summer agenda because I would hope that people might be out of town and not available. Something like that, I would wait. I'd put it on an agenda that's during the year. So I just want to go on record. I would have been at that meeting had I known about it in time and had I not been on vacation. So of course, we will work within the policies, but that would be my recommendation for the city attorney and the city manager. That's the kind of thing that we could plan for a little bit differently, and probably it could wait a couple of months so that people are back from their vacations, they have a chance to talk about it. So thank you. Okay.
Wait, actually, so are you saying city council passed the policy that city attorney has to be present here in our meeting for us? So what happened? I'm not actually filled in. what happened at city council related to creating ad hoc committees?
So basically what happened is that topic came up and the city attorney has to approve the creation of the ad. So let's say the commission can actually vote to have an ad hoc committee. And the city attorney would have the final approval whether to approve that ad hoc committee or not. So
And they just she verbally confirmed that in a meeting? Is that what happened, or it was on the agenda?
So that's actually in the manual, the commission book manual that everybody receives as a commissioner, and it's actually stated in there, and that's part of the policy. It's the city liaison. The city liaison is the city attorney. I do want to also mention that there is going to be some additional training coming up, and that was part of council's direction to have training for all the commissioners. So the city clerk will be developing that training protocol, and we'll certainly notify, and the city attorney will be involved in that as well. So there will be some training, some more clarification coming down the road.
I think that's kind of just mixed feedback, because I remember when we had members of the public bringing the ordinance that established our commission, saying that by our own volition we can create our own ad hoc meetings, set our agendas, stuff like that. So also, I guess what I'm understanding is if we were to say create an ad hoc meeting, maybe it wouldn't go into effect until it's approved, but she wouldn't need to be sitting here in our meetings. Okay. Feels like a lot of fuss for something as not a big deal in my mind as an ad hoc committee, right? Like,
My point is just, it would be great to have a heads up. It would be even better to be invited to participate. And let's schedule it at a time that isn't peak summer. So just so that everybody could be at the table who wanted to be at the table. So, okay. On that less light note, we will adjourn. I would like to adjourn the meeting at 8:40 p.m. And thank you all so much for coming tonight.